Hi, my name is Caroline Yeager, and this is my demonstrative speech, and here is my audience. All right. Whether in a documentary, movie, or even just a class assignment, interviews can help tell vivid and informative stories. Creating a more perfect and visually pleasing interview shot and asking the right questions can completely transform a boring recording into an intimate conversation. Today, I will cover 3 key steps to get you on the right track for creating the perfect interview. While every cinematographer or director has their own style for videography, there are some rules that need to be followed. To create a great interview, you first need intriguing, open-ended questions. Lighting is crucial in having a visually pleasing interview shot for an audience. Lastly, the placement of your interviewee within the frame is a very specific yet subtle rule that should be followed. Probably the most important step to produce that you gotta watch this interview is to have an interesting subject that you have studied well and can ask interesting questions of. To make an interview insightful and entertaining, you need to compile thoughtful and open-ended questions. As an interviewer, time must be spent prior to the date and time of the interview in order to learn about the subject's background and interesting facts about their life. Using the facts learned during the preparation, open-ended questions are developed that will guide the subject to answer such that follow-up questions and comments lend itself to an interesting and compelling interview. When asking the questions, you will want to intermix fact-based questions with opinion-based questions and feeling-type questions in order to keep the audience engaged. You will also want to remind the subject to repeat the question in their answer. This way it will be easier in post-production and the editor to tell the story that you and your interviewee want to tell. Once you've done your homework and know the interviewee's background, you are ready to move on to the more technical part of producing your awesome interview. You must take special care to ensure that lighting the subject makes them shine. In order to make the subject shine, care should be taken to ensure the light on the subject is more lit than the background. This technique will draw those watching the interview into the subject's story. However, if the background material is crucial during the part of the interview in order to tell the story, then that background should be more lit. 3-point lighting is the most common lighting system used in an interview. You have your key light right here, which will fill most of the subject's face, the fill light, which will fill in dark shadows on the subject's face, and then the backlight, which will light a ring around the subject's head, basically, to separate it from the background. Now that the lights are placed correctly, and your subject is illuminated to show them in the best light, where they sit and which way they look in filming becomes more important. And here's my audience again. You must ensure that the subject is positioned correctly within the frame. The rule of thirds is another common rule in videography. The frame is split into 3 parts horizontally and vertically. In the interview, you'll want the subject to be placed on one of the invisible lines that separates the frame horizontally. Care should be taken so that the subject is not being filmed dead center in the screen, but instead is off-centered. Once correctly positioned, the subject's gaze should be looking towards the opposite side of where he was sitting in the frame, like so. Or in another way, the subject should be looking through the empty space of the frame, and this creates balance with his gaze occupying the empty space. Many times the background of the interview can help tell the story as well. If you feel compelled to do so, the background can reflect what you are telling the story about. So let's say if you're interviewing a soccer player, then you might want to interview the person on the soccer field or have like trophies behind them and awards that they won from soccer. You now have the perfect subject, the questions that will bring out the story you're trying to tell, the correct lighting, and the perfect camera position. So lights, camera, action, and you're ready to create that perfect interview. In reviewing, if you follow these simple steps, the result will be both an entertaining and informative interview. that everyone tuning in will enjoy and then want to recommend to their family and friends. In summary, if you take the time to learn your subject's background, behaviors, interesting facts, and opinions, you will be able to direct the interview questions in a way to get the most exciting and compelling story out of your subject. And by using the correct lighting to illuminate your subject and the right positioning within the camera frame, you will be proud of the interview you have produced and one that will be tuned into and watched by many.